Aloha Food Foresters, Tutu Science here, ready to read to you from the book Our Path to Infinite Abundance, Introduction to Food Forests. A food forest sustains and replicates itself. It boggles my mind that everyone doesn't have a food forest already because it's so easy to grow a food forest and receive unending generations of food. Growing a food forest, like any other goal, requires us to have a plan and execute the plan. I'm writing this little book for you, dear heart, because I think you would love having an infinite supply of healthful food growing around you too. I think everyone needs an infinite supply of nutrient-dense, healing food growing nearby. Delicious, juicy food grows on the trees, on the bushes, and creeps along the ground. It feels entirely like a Garden of Eden, where sacred animal and plant life forms surround you. I'm going to introduce you now to a word called biota, which means animal and plant life and fungi life. In this book, I'll use the term biota to refer to the set of all plant and animal life forms, whether they are in the soil, on the land, in the water, or in the sky. One might say the plant biota that grows here on the food forest displayed delightful colors, beautiful designs, happy sounds, and heavenly fragrances. On top of that, I eat to my satisfaction from the many different plant biota growing. Some folks have called growing your own food a peasant lifestyle, but I prefer to call it a pleasant lifestyle because I enjoy it so much. I still go out and buy meals sometimes, but most often when hunger strikes, I walk out the door and pick a ripe, juicy, fragrant, delicious piece of fruit from a tree. Inhale the fragrance, take a bite, and drink in the juicy goodness. I get happy because the fruit smells and tastes delicious and gives me the energy to get back to what I was doing. Food forest grown fruit is amazingly nutrient dense and satisfying. Oranges are my favorite fruit, and our 40-year-old tree is still producing the best navel oranges I ever tasted. Did you know you can eat the peels too? They refresh your mouth as you chew them, and they fill you up better than the juice alone. The skin also contains the citrus oil, which is useful for making body care products also. I use it in my homemade shampoo blends for added fragrance and smoothing oil, and dehydrated zest in my deodorizing powder blends. But that's a story for another book. And oh my, the bananas that we grow in the food forest taste more flavorful than bananas in stores by far. Sweet and slightly tart, they have an intense banana flavor, and they have seeds. Sometimes the seeds are tiny, and sometimes they are bigger than watermelon seeds. The peels are deliciously sweet when dried and chewy like jerky. Bananas are good for body care too. We have coffee trees that bloom with fragrant flowers, and we enjoy the freshest, purest coffee at harvest time. Coffee cherries have a coffee bean inside that is surrounded by a tough husk. The red fruit outside is good to eat too. It takes a lot of steps to process from harvest to sipping a cup of coffee, but it's fun to do. We have Australian brush cherries, which grow on a tall evergreen tree that makes a beautiful hedge or windbreak on our west fence line, so it's a source of cherries for decades. Chickens eat these cherries too. They have a slightly astringent but pleasant taste with a pretty purple peanut textured seed inside. I ate them as a child, and I still enjoy them because they give me a boost of energy. When you taste the strawberries that grow wild on the forest floor, you will experience real strawberry flavors. In this picture, the strawberries here are dangling above the forest floor because they're a few years old in this shot. When they were new plants, their fruit would lay sprawled out on the forest floor, where crawling insects could quickly eat them. However, after a year or two, they grew taller stems that hold the strawberries up above the forest floor, and the insects don't go up the stems to eat them. I didn't know that before I lived with a food forest. Here's a picture of olives brining in salt water. We also pickle nopales cactus petals with our fresh onion and garlic, and it turns out great. Nectarines and apricots ripen every summer. Figs ripen every summer. We make homemade fig Newton bars. And those are some of the fruits growing, but there are nuts too. We have pecan nuts, macadamia nuts, almonds. You can include fresh produce when you create meal menus. Dinner cooked with ultra fresh ingredients makes the best food available. Studies show that home cooking leads to happier and healthier families, lowered consumption of processed food, and longer life. For over 40 years, I've enjoyed cooking. Having fresh ingredients growing all around makes it fun and exciting to cook. Imagine for a moment that you want to go cook a meal for you and your family, so you go out into the garden and get your choice of ingredients. Potatoes, beets, carrots, sweet potatoes, zucchini, eggplant, tomatoes, pigeon peas, onions, green onions, garlic tops, parsley, celery, thyme, rosemary, peppers, garlic, ginger, turmeric, and any of a vast variety of other seasonal edibles are ready to add to the dish. I still purchase bread, wine, meat, and cheese at the store, but having a steady supply of other ingredients from the earth is incredible. Having fresh produce available to use in cooking is way more comfortable than shopping for it, way cheaper than buying it, and as flavorful and fragrant as you can get. In a food forest, many different foods are ripening in different seasons depending on what you plant. Your body receives sunlight, energy, water, and minerals from eating forest-grown food, and that equates to satisfaction with your meal. We talk about multiple streams of income. A food forest provides multiple streams of food income. It's a joyful experience to meander through the shade of great fruit and nut trees and into the sunny meadows, breathing in the fresh, fragrant air and feeling the fragrant breeze blowing across your skin. The birds sing joyful songs all day long for your listening pleasure. Soon you begin to experience profound gratitude as you realize that our Mother Earth gives us everything we have, and in infinitely expanding abundance. All our food, air, water, and fire, even the ground we stand on, is a gift provided by Mother Earth. We scarcely understand the magnitude of the abundance. Because of this great abundance, we feel happy when we see the wildlife enjoying some of the harvests, because they are here to eat from the garden too. Once you begin to imagine that this life really could happen to you, that you could live with a food forest in your backyard, then you can start to make it happen. By living and working in harmony with our generous, life-giving planet, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose. You receive infinite abundance when you respect, honor, and learn essential truths from this miraculous living globe upon which we all find ourselves. I'm writing this book to help you and your family and to bring attention to the infinite abundance of Mother Earth at the same time. Why? Because I believe that food forests are a vital key to a healthy planet. Think about the freedom and abundance for all of us earth-dwelling life forms if we have unlimited free food and robust health when we eat it. It's a clear choice. Let's choose the path of wisdom in life. I heard a story about how a long time ago African people used to grow food forests. They planted valuable crops all around their homes. One day some corporate farmers came in and knocked down the food forests, tilled the soil, and then planted fields of monocrops for their corporate farms. Bah humbug. The people lost access to their food supplies. Monocrop, if you don't know what that is, it means planting all one crop in a large field, like the corporate farms of this modern age. Monocrop, or the plural is monocrops. The definition, a cultivated crop that does not rotate with other crops in a particular field or area. Bananas could be grown in a monocrop system for commercial production. By growing a patch of food for yourself, like the African people in the story, you will increase in health and wealth. For as long as we can remember, people have been fighting against tyranny and oppression to become free, and still today we fight the same fight. I suggest we start a revolution, not with violence, but today let us fight our battles by growing beautiful food forests. I invite you to join me in enjoying nature's infinite abundance. You might think that starting a new food forest sounds too hard or like too much work, but growing a food forest is fun, especially if you love being in nature. So imagine how you can live a healthy, joyful life as you create your food forest. Your healthiest life includes fresh, healthy food which grew in living soil, picked straight from your garden, and eaten quickly and joyfully. I give you this food for thought. If you would like to find fresh, healthy food just outside your door and ready to eat anytime, then a food forest is the path to abundance for you, my friend. I'm glad you're listening to this book that I wrote for you, dear heart. What makes us an extended family is that we are all living stardust, all born of Mother Earth's expanding abundance of life. And these are words from a song by Joni Mitchell. We are stardust, billion-year-old carbon. We are golden, caught in the devil's bargain. and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. The food forest garden is our path to infinite abundance, food freedom, physical health, and well-being for all life forms, including Mother Earth. So I thank you for listening to Chapter 4, and on the next video, I will read more about what is a forest. And so please give it a like and subscribe, and I will be reading to you soon from the next chapter. Okay. Aloha.